Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of mine. In today's message, I want to talk about light-skinned mothers with dark or brown-skinned daughters or kids, or light-skinned women that want dark or brown-skinned kids. So, I remember back in the days when I would see the light-skinned woman, dark-skinned man couple, I always thought that, like, okay, they chose a dark-skinned man, but maybe they would still want their kids to come out looking like them. But over the last couple of months and years, I have been finding out that that is not the case at all. And a lot of them actually want to have dark to brown skin kids. So they actually don't want their kids to take after them. And they have also expressed this many times as well, that they intentionally choose dark or brown skinned men so that their kids can come out dark or brown skin. I think I have mentioned this before, but I didn't really dive into this. So now, not only do they only date darker men, but they also want darker kids. So basically, they just want to be a dark or brown skinned woman. Because if you're light skinned, why do you want so much involvement with darker people if that's not what you are? Why are you distancing yourself from your own image? So I am a brown skinned woman, so I think I can speak on this topic. So my question to light skinned women is, who told you guys that dark or brown skinned girls or women would want a light skinned mother? And I'm not saying this to be mean, but just a question. This is just common sense to me. I would believe or think that most girls of any race or skin color would want to look like their mothers or have a mother that they could relate to, especially in skin color. Now, you have hair texture and facial features that play a part in this as well. But the most important thing is skin color. And skin color does matter. I know we live in a time now where people are trying to make it seem like race or skin color doesn't matter anymore. It still does, and it always will. But most girls would want to look like their mothers in phenotype. That is the first thing that they see. They need to be able to see themselves in their mothers. They need to see their mothers that look like them in loving relationships with their fathers. Light skinned women cannot relate to dark or brown skinned women. You do not represent our image. We're not the same. It's really weird to think that they really want this. Like, this is their dream, their fantasy. Whereas most people dream about creating families that will look like them, these women, majority of them, want kids that will look the opposite of them. Like, my mother is brown skin, and I would think that most brown or darker girls would want the same thing. It's in people's nature to want to look like the people that they came from. That makes them feel like they belong there. You want to feel like, yeah, that's my kind. Like, I never looked at light skinned people and felt that that's my kind. Yeah, I knew of them of being African descent, but I never felt like that was my kind. That is a feeling you want to have towards your relatives. So they're basically just robbing their dark and brown skinned daughters off of something that they desperately are going to need, a mother they look like. It's not your place as a light skinned woman to just bring in a bunch of darker kids. If you feel like you do not fit into the black community because everyone around you is dark, then that's what it is. But to say I'm going to get with the darkest man I could find so that my children can come out darker is insane. So now you're forcing yourself on your dark skinned children to accept you because now you're their mother. So they think like, oh, if my kids come out darker, they're gonna have no choice but to accept me now. And it should be in people's nature to want to pass down their physical traits to their kids. If it's not in yours, you need to seek help, talk to someone about it, pray about it because you guys are confused and you want to confuse other people. Another thing, I have heard dark and brown skinned women say, "Oh, my light skinned mother hypes me up for my skin tone. She drilled it in me. The dark is beautiful," which is a good thing. Keep doing that. But these women are obsessed with darker skin tones as well, with melanin, and it's because they wish they had it. And they compensate for it by dating only dark skinned men and hoping their kids come out darker so they can live through them and pretend to be darker complected women. They need to be concerned about themselves and their own kind that looks like them. They're too devoted to dark skin tone people, and it's sick to me. You guys have to look beyond surface level. No one should be obsessed with features that they do not have themselves. That is just self hate. And those people want those physical traits. And since a lot of dark and brown skinned girls are at the bottom of the barrel, they make a good use of their light skinned mothers or anyone hyping them up for being dark skinned, for validation. But these women, their whole ordeal in the black community is them seeking black acceptance and emulating darker complected women. And I don't think that that's psychologically healthy. And also because they don't have their own racial category. But you can still just be a light skinned black woman in the black community, but be yourself. So I'm going to show you guys a TikTok video of a brown skinned girl saying that when she was a toddler, she was like, I guess trying to figure out where her light skinned mother was as far as racially. And this video had over 1,000 comments of brown and dark skinned women telling their experiences with having a light skinned mother. And the comments were shocking to me. So here's the clip, then I'll show you some of the comments.
My dog, you're into this? You're black. You sound black. Where are you from?
Okay, so now let's go through some of the comments. I'm going to go through a lot of them, so get ready. Also pay attention to what these women girls are saying because it reveals what's really in their hearts and how they really feel. Remember, out of the heart speaks the tongue. Okay? So this comment says, my mom said when I was a kid, I told her she couldn't be my mom because she was white. This is talking about a light-skinned mother. This one says, my mom doesn't even think of herself as light-skinned and she low-key gets mad when we remind her that she is. Yeah, keep reminding her. I told my mom I wanted to live with my teacher because she looks more like me. Exactly, this is what I'm saying. She said she wanted to live with her teacher because she looks more like her. My mom's so pure black. Don't even call her light skinned. She gonna start explaining why she's not. I just realized how much my mom was a light skinned woman for real yesterday. I'm 23. She always loved that I was darker than all her kids. So you see, they don't want their kids to look like them. I'm dark skinned and my mom's light skinned with a crying emoji. No, seriously, because I was convinced my mom switched me at birth. I love anything dark, so my kid's most likely gonna be darker. I will be drilling the concept that black is beautiful so hard, cause no, I hate that colorist. They use the colorism that dark-skinned women go through as an excuse to have darker kids. You don't need to have darker kids just to let them know they're beautiful. You can make content videos telling them that, or personally telling dark-skinned women that they're beautiful. My mom being light-skinned saying she was dark-skinned when I was a child, and we never questioned it. This is what they're telling their kids behind closed doors. This one said, I would get scared someone would think she was kidnapping me because we were different colors. I told people she kidnapped me if I ain't got my way. I thought I was adopted because my mother was light skinned. I swore I was adopted because our color difference, knowing my dad is dark. Like, I told my mom she wasn't my mom because she was white with brown spots. She's light skinned with freckles. My 3-year-old makes it a mission to let everyone know they are brown and I'm orange. Yes, because these toddlers can see a difference. We're not the same. My son keeps drawing me peach. Keep telling him to use the brown crayon on me. You see what they're telling their kid? She's saying, draw mommy brown. Me, I made her cry because I told her she was white and she didn't belong with me and my dad. This is how these girls feel deep in their hearts. So you see how it affects these girls, them not resembling their mom. My 2-year-old definitely be looking at me like she can't put her finger on it, but it's something about me that's throwing her off. Yeah, she sees the difference and she's looking for her kind. It's nature. This one says, my mom light skinned with all brown kids. As a kid, I used to swear she was white and wanted to find my real black mom. So this is pretty harsh, being told by your child that you're not their mom and they're going to look for their real mom. That's pretty painful. But they're willing to go through all this verbal abuse and rejection and colorism, even racism, just to fit in with darker complected people. It's sad. Like I said, it's in people's nature to want to look like their parents, especially a daughter like her mother, a son like his father. You can't go against nature. So this is what they're doing and saying behind closed doors, pretending to be dark brown-skinned women. This is how these women truly feel about having a light-skinned mother. So I hope light-skinned women are taking this seriously. This is how your darker complected daughters feel. And the reason these kids keep bringing up skin tone is because they see you as different from them and they are yearning for that we are the same feeling. Like that's something every human being wants to feel, the same as their family members or their parents. That feeling makes you feel safe, makes you feel secure. And a lot of the light skinned women in the comment section, they were joking and laughing about it, even saying, oh, I hope my future dark skinned kids don't do this to me. Why are you still thinking about having them after they're telling you how they feel about you? Almost everyone in the comment section said that they thought their light skinned mother was white, expressing disdain towards having a light skinned mother, basically saying she's different. And some of them were even getting offended when their kids were telling them that they were yellow or light skin or peach or beige. These are just terms to describe a light skinned African. It's not an insult. And if skin color didn't matter, why were these kids and toddlers bringing it up? They're literally traumatizing and confusing these kids. When I review these comments, what I get from them in all honesty, a lot of these brown, dark skinned women seem upset about it. Although they may play it off cool by putting laughing emojis, they seem upset. But they realize, like, okay, this is my situation, so they just have to accept it. But if they could have chosen, I think they would have chosen or wanted a mother that they resembled phenotypically. And again, this is not to be mean to light skinned women. It's just the truth because you would be shocked at the amount of them that really want this dynamic. Like, it's crazy. So I have to kind of get on their tail with this. You should always want your kids to look like you. And this was not the only video I saw. I saw other videos similar to this one, and they were saying the same things in the comment section. Also, I know light-skinned women have genetics to also make darker kids, But most likely, if they choose a light skinned man, 9 times out of 10, their kids would come out light skinned like them. And I know two light skins can also have dark skinned children, but that's rare. That's like 1 in every 50 light skinned couples that it would happen to. And yes, we're all of African descent, but because most of us are not 100% black, it can produce these different skin tones and hair textures. But you're supposed to mate and stick with your own kind that you look like. However you came out, that's what you should try to be with. And also, raising children is already hard. There is so much you need to give them, like emotional support, financial support, love, attention, but same identity as well. If that's missing, that is also going to be something they're going to yearn for. Similar to like a child could yearn for affection if they're not getting it. They're gonna yearn for that as well. And also, pray for your children to look like you. Okay, so, and if you think, well, these were just children, they were just toddlers, they didn't really know what they were talking about. Remember, children are very honest. But now let's hear it from an adult woman saying the same thing for people who would say that those were just kids. I'm going to play a clip of the actress called Golden Brooke. She played on a TV show called Girlfriends, and the cast of Girlfriends in one of their interviews, interviewed by Charlemagne, one of the questions he asked them was about Diana Ross. Diana Ross used to be brown skinned earlier in her career, but is now light skinned. But Golden Brooke's answer was very interesting. She said, meeting Diana Ross meant a lot to her. She was anxious because Diana Ross was one of the first brown skinned women she saw on television growing up. She said her mother was a very light skinned woman, so there was this aesthetic disconnection between her and her mother. In other words, she did not look like her mother, and that affected her. She also said, like, we're raising these girls, but it's important for them to see themselves. And she means within their mothers, because who's raising them? Their mothers. And notice she was crying as well. So it's really something that affected her. And she also said Diana Ross emulated a look that she desperately needed in her upbringing. Yes, because every girl and woman, they need to see themselves in their mothers. But do light-skinned women care? No. Okay, so I'll play the clip.
Nervous is not the word. I think I was highly anxious because my experience, you know, growing up, single mom, my mom was raised my brother and I on our own. My mother's very light-skinned, so there was that aesthetic disconnection that I had with my mother. And she worked 2 to 3 jobs, grew up in the Bay Area, so my brother and I were always, you know, it was the TV. This is what happened. So I constantly, my mom's my hero. She's a strong, conscious, beautiful woman. But I always felt like Miss Barbara. But there was that, I wanted to see this, you know, and watching movies, TV, seeing Lady Sings the Blues, seeing Diana Ross be a dark-skinned black woman, sensitive, you know, sensual, vivacious, smart, creative, full of life, and just glamorous in her clothes. And I was like, whoa, who is this woman? Who is this? And my daughter was even her for Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, like she has just sort of bookmarked, and I cry because it's important. And we're raising these little girls, and now my turn.
Kleenex, please.
Sorry. It's important for them to see themselves. And so I thank Tracy's mother for that, because sometimes when you're growing up, you're visual and you feel things, but you see, and that's what creates that feeling. And so seeing her mother, it just really inspired me. So I wouldn't say nervous, but I was highly anxious to see someone that I felt like emulated an aesthetic that I desperately needed during my upbringing.
Not a Queen Diana
So you see, having the same identity and phenotype is very important. Eventually, these girls grow up and they just learn to cope with it because they can't change it. Another woman that spoke on this is a woman named Dr. Sarah Webb. Her channel name is Healing from Colorism, and her website name is colorismhealing.com. One of the things she talked about is having a light skinned mother. In her article on her website, she said that it's best for girls to have mothers that look the same as them, like same skin tone, same hair texture. Another thing she had brought up in one of her videos, which is on YouTube, she said her light skinned mother did not see herself as a light skinned woman, and it took her and her siblings a long time to get their mother to admit that she was light skinned. This goes back to the self hate and identity confusion in light skinned women that I had already touched on before. And dark and brown skinned women that agree with this behavior of light skinned women is either they want or already have light skinned kids. Some of them fear that people are going to label them as jealous, and some of them have light skinned mothers. Some of them want light skinned women around for validation. But any brown skinned or dark skinned woman in her right state of mind would not be totally okay with this dynamic. It's just insane to me. Same goes for the reverse, dark skinned women wanting light skinned daughters, mating with lighter complected men just to have lighter kids. They have nothing in common. They can't relate to each other. And it's nothing wrong with a light skinned woman here or there that want darker kids, but it should not be the majority. And it is, and it has been for a long time. And no one says anything about it. Like, it's just disrespectful and inconsiderate to me. And their toddlers and children are saying the same thing, you know? Saying that they thought they were adopted and that you're not their real mom. I had also seen a lot of comments of like, my mom told me she was dark skinned or wanted to be or she thought she was. You can't fool these girls. And these girls and women, some are laughing and joking about it, but behind the laughter, I see pain on the inside. Those little girls seem distraught. They seem upset by the situation, and it's very sad. And a light skinned woman being pro black, it just means dark skin worship. They want nothing to do with being light skinned. They have a sick demonic obsession with melanin skin. They worship darker skin tones. You need to worship God, not skin tone or race, which is idolatry. And I think if dark and brown skinned girls, women, are expressing disdain or uncomfortableness towards this dynamic, I think it's something you should consider and not brush it off and think, oh, they're gonna get over it. Quick story time. I remember when I was 6 years old, I lived with my grandparents for some time, and most of my cousins, aunts that came over or whose house I would visit are the ones that were mostly around. They were light skinned, so I had immediately noticed that color difference, and the first feeling was like unsafe, like I didn't feel like I belonged there, and I remember yearning to see someone that looked like me. And I had one cousin, she was brown skinned like me, and she came over just twice to visit, to do my hair. And I remember how good and how safe I felt in her presence. It was such a relief and such a feeling that I was craving for. And I used to wish that I could see her every day or that she could stay longer. I felt so good in her presence. And that's a feeling that light skinned women cannot give no matter how loving you are. And you just learn to cope with it, you know? It's like, say you are in someone else's house or a guest house, you feel like you can't be comfortable or be yourself, even if they're making you feel comfortable. But when you're in your own house, you feel comfortable, like you could be yourself. That's how that feeling is. So really think about it. And self-hate and identity confusion is something you can get delivered from. It's a spirit. There are deliverance prayers online for this. I'm going to read a scripture for you guys. The scripture that I have is in Galatians chapter 5 verse 20. It says, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revellings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So you see, it said idolatry, it mentioned emulation, which means like wanting to be like someone else, copying someone else, wanting what doesn't belong to you, living your life through someone else. These are sins, because that's really what it is when it comes down to these women wanting to be in the positions of darker skinned women, wanting to be seen the same as dark skinned women. In Ephesians chapter 5 verse 11, it says, take no part in the worthless deeds of evil and darkness, instead expose them. Now, I'm not saying that these women are just evil, but practicing self-hate is operating in darkness, and the deeds of darkness must be exposed if God is leading you to do that. Okay? But it was also prophesied that God would send confusion amongst his people. And I think this is an example of it. Okay, you guys, so that was my video for today. Stay tuned for more videos, and goodbye.